Welcome to the Northern Counties East League podcast. I'm Richard Watts. I would like to start by paying tribute to Barton goalkeeper James Hitchcock, who lost his life after being assaulted at York Railway Station just before Christmas. Hitchcock joined Barton at the start of the season and was never present in the side up to the day before he was attacked. He was an outstanding goalkeeper, great shot stopper, had a good penalty saving record and provided good distribution with his feet. The most commonly used phrase in our commentaries this season has been "great save Hitchcock." Aged 32, he started his career at Schoolcoat Amateurs. He also played for Scarborough Athletic and Frickley Athletic, amongst others. But it was at Bridlington Town where he really made his name, making over 100 consecutive appearances for the Seasiders. We offer our sincere condolences to his wife and young child, as well as the rest of his family and friends. I'm now talking to James Ripley of Horbury Town. This was recorded on the 18th of December. To start, can you give me a sort of like a rundown of the Horbury story?
So it's coming up to our 60th year in existence. So we formed in 1965. So next year is our 60th year. So it will be quite fitting if we gain promotion in a 60th year. That would be that's the dream. It's his third year the North East Counties now. Obviously the first year we got to the playoff final, and then we had a bit of a bad start last year. But if we look at the form and the results after the first 10 games, I think we'd have been in the playoff positions again for the second season running. And we're really well at the moment, top of the league at the moment by I think it's 14 points.
Yeah.
But there's teams below us with games in hand and stuff. So once they get them played, we'll see where we're really at. But we're pretty happy where we are at the moment.
And I'm just sort of like backtracking to it. What sort of made the club make the step up from sort of like the West Yorkshire Premier to the North East Counties? Was there a sort of like plan in place to get there? How did it sort of like develop from that point of view?
Yeah, so we've been in the West Yorkshire Prem for a number of years now. It was just the next step for us, really. We had two teams, so it seemed fitting enough that we had enough the squad depth there to try and get into the counties, which we managed to do so 3 years ago at the first time of applying, I believe.
And sort of like to go to the next level, do you need to do what's your ground like? Do you need to do much at your ground for the next level, or is it set up all ready to go to the next level?
So I'm pretty sure we're okay for step 5 at the moment. We are producing another stand at the side of the pitch, which will replicate the seating stand that we've got, but that'll be full standing. So that should be enough to at least allow us into step 5, but we're hoping to get step 4. What that requires, we're not sure yet, but that's the aim for us.
Right. And so what's made I mean, I know you did well sort of like your first season and towards the end last year, but you seem to have sort of like stepped up again this year. What's sort of behind that step? What's been the difference this year? Who is sort of like your key players? And
I think the start of last year, a lot of unavailability for whatever reason. That seemed to be the key in a drop of form, because obviously in his first year getting to the playoff final, you would expect a team to kick on. When looking at the table last September, we'd only got 5 points from 10 games, and to only be about 7 or 8 points off the playoffs by the end of the season shows just what squad we had then as well, when everyone was available. We have a similar squad this year. I think we've only signed one player outside of the summer to strengthen us, and we've lost his first player this week for non-footballing reasons, I'm led to believe. But we've still got a strong squad. We are a little bit light on numbers at the moment, but in 2 or 3 weeks we should have a fully fit squad ready to go again.
And who are your key players?
So James Cusworth last year scored 49 goals for us. He left in the summer to try at step four level for Ossett United. He came back and he's started to find form again in the recent weeks. So I think he's our top goal scorer with 12 at the moment, which doesn't seem a great deal compared to his 49 that he got last year. But we have 16 different goal scorers in the squad this year already. So whereas last year we were relying on one person to put the ball in the back of the net, everyone's collectively making the effort. And long may that continue.
You don't seem to be letting many in either.
No, we currently are the joint second most clean sheets in non-league football, I'm led to believe. I think there's a non-league HQ X account that keeps tagging us in there. I think we're only one clean sheet off the top spot again. We are in 8, so we've kept 13 clean sheets from 24 games, but in the other 11, on 8 of those occasions, we've only conceded a single goal. So I think we've only conceded 13 or 14 this year so far, which is brilliant. To say, considering the 2 starting centre halves that we had from the beginning of the season have both picked up injuries, so we've had to kind of rejig the back line. The 2 players that have been in there, Joe Angel and James Travis, have been a revelation.
And what are your attendances like? Are they sort of, as you sort of get becoming more and more successful, are they going up your attendances, and have you got scope to sort of attract even more in?
Yeah, so in his first year, I think we just averaged over 200. But when you come into like this level of football, you get quite a lot of ground hoppers. So maybe 10% of those every game was ground hoppers. But once they've been once, you rarely see them again unless they really enjoy it, because obviously they want to go up and down the country. But last year we had a bit of a drop. I think we averaged around 150 maybe, but I think we've got a 17% increase to about 170. But within our area, obviously we've got Wakefield, who are the so-called big hitters. So they obviously attract quite a lot of fans. We've obviously got Nostell and Glasshoughton in the area, as well as now Shelley. So they're all nearby. Whereas Horbury, I think there's 15,000 population. So it's just about trying to attract more people down, really. So whatever I can do as the head of social media, getting us out there, joining all the Facebook groups, sending out flyers, making us self-known in pubs and stuff like that. So we have seen a bit of an increase this year, and hopefully, if things go to plan, we'll get that higher attendance next year as well.
Is the club quite a big part of the community?
Yes, so we've got a massive junior section from under 5s to under 18s. And then we've also got an under 23 side that we started last season. And we've got quite a lot of under 17s, under 18s in there. And there's some very good players in there. So we're hoping towards the back end of the year to try and integrate them into the first team as well. So I know they've select 7 or 8 that attend training on a Wednesday now to be part of the seniors.
Are there many of the current squad that have come up through the ranks?
So there's quite a few players that are still at the club that have been here for a number of years. So I think we've got 3 people within our current squad that have hit 250 games for the club, which just to get one of those players is unheard of at this level. But to get 3, and they've been here since like 9-10 years ago, where we've been in the West Yorkshire Premier. They've seen everything that's gone on behind the scenes, all the ups and the downs. And yeah, so we've got 3 of those that are on 250 games. I think James Smith is this Saturday at home to South Leeds. This is his 250th game, so it's a great achievement.
And you've already sort of touched on it, that you've got ambition to make step 4. How could you be the sort of club that could, pretty similar sort of like Emily, who could in a couple of years could be ready to go to that step 4 level?
Fingers crossed. We've obviously, the area that we have got quite a bit of area to develop as facilities. There is something in the pipeline, hopefully in a few years, to make the ground much better than what it is at the moment. We do a lot of clubs come to the the ground and look at the pitch because it's on a bit of a slope and think it's not a great place to be. But we very rarely get games off. I think we've only had one game off at home in the past 3 years, and that were due to a frozen pitch. So we're
Okay.
quite lucky. So I think it was a few weeks ago, there was only 4 games on. We was the only one in the division. We played Maltby. And then I think there was 2 in the division above, or maybe 3, but there was obviously on artificial surfaces, a couple of those. So we very rarely get a game off, which is good. Obviously, that's helped us a little bit this year to try and to extend our lead, albeit other teams have got games in hand over us. But at this stage, it's all about getting points on the board and then hoping people drop points when they've got a backlog of fixtures come February and March.
Yeah, and then nothing's won by Christmas, but you couldn't be in a much better position, could you?
Yeah, so if I'd come on this podcast a week ago, we'd have been in a little bit of a better position
Yeah.
because I do listen to it every week, and you were saying I don't think there's much possibility of us losing to Shelley, but here we are losing 1-0. So yeah, disappointing result for us last week, but we're not gonna get downbeat about it. We're not naive enough to know that we wasn't going to drop any points, but to have a 14-point lead at the moment is we couldn't ask for any more.
And how long have you been involved with the club?
So I came originally as a goalkeeper back in 2017, I believe, 2017, 2018. Played a couple of years between both sides. But I have problems with my fingers, so I think I've got Raynaud's. So obviously playing in goal when you've got white fingers is not obviously great 'cause you can't catch a ball. And many people have said I can't catch a ball anyway, to be honest. But yeah, I kind of took a backward step and I went to the games at home and I just got into like doing live commentary on social media and stuff, and I got into it that way. So that's my main role now, is controlling all the social media, but I get heavily involved in quite a lot of things as well.
And how's your social media developing? How are your followers developing? Things like that, numbers wise.
I think we're just over 3,000 on Twitter. I don't know the numbers before we got into the counties, but I imagine it probably in the hundreds rather than the thousands. Instagram, we didn't really have an Instagram account until a couple of years ago, maybe when we started the counties. So we're just over 1,000 in that, and just short of 3,000 on Facebook as well, which is pretty good. Hopefully that continues, the more we get Horbury Town out there, which is kind of why I wanted to come on this podcast to give you a little bit of a background of what's going on behind the scenes and what's the secret behind the success at the moment.
Yeah. And who's your manager? How long has the manager been there?
So our manager is Darren Barnes. He's also the co-chairman with Joe Mazalski. Joe's been around for about 40 years now at the club. He's brought it from not the beginning, but when he first came in to where it is to now, it's phenomenal. Darren came in originally as a player, I believe, and then he became the reserve team manager. And I think he's been the first team manager now for about 9 years. So between them both, they've put in a lot of hard work, sweat and tears to get us to where they are. They probably would. This is like kind of their life now. It's what they're really passionate about, and they've done an absolutely fantastic job to get us to where we are. As of our small lot of volunteers that we've got, we don't really have many. I think we've maybe got about 9 or 10, but we're a close knit family group, and we all knuckle down to get all the jobs done.
Oh, it's not many, 9 or 10, is it, to run a club at this level?
No, I think we've got Debbie, who's in the cafe. We've got her husband Stuart, who looks after the ground. There's Joe and Darren, myself for social media. There's another guy called Jordan, who's a club secretary, and then we've got Jane in the ticket office and Paul, who does our announcing on match day. So we haven't really got a huge amount, but everyone digs in, and there's not a job that's left free between us all. We're all happy to contribute.
That's brilliant. Anything else you want to add?
Well, we have got the game on the 4th of January against Wakefield, so that's his next big game. So we're hoping for quite a lot of support. I think we had just short of 400 back in September. But I think had it been at Bellevue, there'd have been a lot more. I think they were in the transition phase of moving between the two grounds, because I know last September when we played them at their place, we got over 1,000, and I think we were just short of 600 on Boxing Day, which I thought was a very good attendance considering families and friends have loads of stuff on over Christmas. But it looks as if Matt Jones has done us a favour putting us on the first Saturday of January. So hopefully we get plenty of fans down, and hopefully we can pick up the win to avenge the defeat that we had against them back in September.
Should be a cracking game because they're in good form as well, aren't they?
Yeah, I think they're 8 wins on the bounce now, I'm led to believe. January is a pretty tough period for us. So we go into it playing Wakefield on the 4th, then we go to Wombwell on the Friday night, and then the following Saturday we've got Worsborough, who after maybe 10 games hadn't got a win.
Yeah.
And now they've only lost 5 altogether, and they're just outside the playoffs with a 12-game unbeaten run. So we're coming to a 3-game period there where it's massively important that we at least don't allow the teams below us to gain points on us. So we'll be looking to make sure that we don't lose 100%.
Yeah, that's a good run of games, that, isn't it? If you're still sort of like 14 points clear after them, you will be about there.
Yeah, it's just about when the other teams get the games in hand. It's around February, March time, I imagine, that they all kind of get the games back on track. But yeah, I think there's 18 games for us now, so 18 cup finals, and hopefully we can reproduce the form in the first half of the year, which should, fingers crossed and touch wood, see us right up there at the end.
Forgot to look before we spoke. Are you still in the cup?
No, we lost in the League Cup to Silsden 2-1 in the third round.
That's. I mean, they're flying, aren't they, at the top of the table?
That was a great result, albeit that we lost. We just come off the back of 2 defeats then as well. So it wasn't a great time to obviously play the top of the Prem. But we more than held us own, had more than enough chances to at least take that game into extra time and penalties. We lost in the County Cup to Tadcaster 4-1, who we had beat in the League Cup second round 1-0.
Right.
And then in the FA Vars, we lost to Ashton Town in the first round on penalties. And I'm pretty sure they only got beat on midweek. They were still in the Vars up to this point. So they've from the Northwest. So there was a decent side.
Yeah, all bodes well, doesn't it, for the future?
Absolutely, yeah.
Next up, NCEL talk. I'll hand straight over to host Aaron Walton.
Okay, so for our section in the podcast, I'm joined by Bob, Adam, and a warm welcome making his debut is Jordan from Horbury Town. Welcome all. Welcome, Jordan.
Thank you. Good evening.
Evening, everybody. And of course, I'm here, Aaron, as well. But so Jordan, Horbury Town. Tell us a little bit about what you do and Horbury Town themselves.
So I've got quite a few roles with it within Horbury, but my the main one is I control all the social media accounts. So I've got X, or Twitter as people know it as, Instagram and Facebook. So predominantly my role is to try and promote Horbury as best as I can, really. I used to play for the club a few years ago, and for different reasons I don't play anymore, but I enjoy keeping an eye on the games, and I'm with the first team, home and away, no matter what. I also do a little bit like goalkeeper, warming up with the goalkeeper. So that's my role before kick-off, and then it's all hands on deck on the phone, giving updates for fans that can't make games. I do a little bit of the marketing side of things, so I help with bringing in sponsorship during the pre-season. Work closely with Darren, who's the manager, to try and get the funds in and promote the games as best as I can.
Wow, so that's not just a few jobs, that's nearly every job.
Yeah. So I sometimes if Joe, who's our chairman, can't make it at half-time, I try and help out with hospitality at half-time as well and make sure everyone's fed and watered.
Yeah, well, I know what it's like on match days. I'm going to do a little bit on volunteers later on if we've got enough time. But what we'll do, thanks for that, Jordan. What we're going to do is we're going to have a look at last week's games. I know we've missed a couple of weeks, but we're just going to focus on last week's game. The first and foremost, though, attendances. Weren't they fantastic over the weekend?
Some really good ones. Yeah, it was fantastic. Especially our good friends at Hallam. That was incredible, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, if you go through them, Hallam 921, Golka 559, Barton 530, Penistone 528, Beverley 503, Winterton 271, Knaresborough 242, and Gould 222. There's some phenomenal crowds there. And then if you're going down into Division 1, you've got Wakey 478, Brigg 302, Club Thorn 296, and Selby 271. Even Yorkshire Amateurs got three figures. So we must be doing something right in this league, I think. And just a little bit geographically, with Barton Town, Winterton Rangers and Brigg Town all playing home games, and geographically there are about 10 miles between them. They all got excellent crowds, didn't they? And if we total all that up, 1,800. That's good going, isn't it? So
yeah, brilliant.
So, but if I can just slightly be indulgent and just start, because we've had a bit of a tragedy down at Barton Town, but our game on Saturday, it was the first game we've played since our tragic loss of James Hitchcock, our keeper. But a huge thank you to everyone who came along to Barton Town on Saturday to pay the respects to James, the Swans keeper, who, as I said, tragically lost his life a couple of weeks ago. It really had, and it has shook everyone involved at the club to the core. The players, I don't know how they've played, all the volunteers and everybody involved with the club, the fans as well. It's really, really shook us. It really has. But what's really restored my faith in humanity is how the clubs, and I'm talking all clubs, have rallied round to support not only James, but the club and the charity James's family have championed, One Punch Hull and East Riding. And if people want to know a little bit more about One Punch Hull and East Riding, just Google it and it'll tell you a little bit more about them. But clubs both locally and in the NCEL have organised collections for the charity, also holding minute silences or a minute applause, which I can say from our club is warmly received. So thank you very much. And just a final note, if I can, about Eccleshill United, who are our opponents on Saturday. For the way they approached the day with the professionalism, the dignity, very difficult circumstances for them to come along and play us, but they're absolutely professionally how everybody held themselves, the players, the staff and the volunteers, they conducted themselves. So as a club at Barton Town, we're forever grateful for you, Eccleshill, for doing that for us. So that's out of the way, and Barton won as well 2-0. So it was it wasn't about the result. It was about getting that day sorted and a respect for James. So let's have a look at the other games played then. And go on, Bob. It's been a long time coming, and yes, Santa brought you an early present, Bob, in the form of.
He did. He did.
So,
I have to say, before I went on Saturday, I was filled with trepidation because the previous Saturday we'd lost 6-1 over the Campion. 1-1 at half time, and then we collapsed in the second half. Just collapsed. And the crowd, it was a poor weather day weather-wise, 99. So going on Saturday, I thought beforehand, well, let's hope we can put a good display in today, and we did. I mean, we went 1-0 up after 8 minutes, across from the right from young Carl Austin, and James Simonite was on the spot to edit in. Then Tadcaster equalised through Daniel Thirkwells, 1-1. I thought, oh, are we going to concede again? But no, we got our nose in front again with a Callum Clark goal from in the 6-yard box. And then in the second half, Gavin Allett, who just signed for us from Wombwell, Gavin, he did a lovely run down the right wing, crossed it in, and there was Curtis Davis in the 6-yard box, put the third in, and we was in dreamland, 3-1 up. I think the fans there was in a bit of shock, really, because the thing is, before that game we had lost 7 on the trot. We'd only scored 20 goals all season, conceded 78, and we had no clean sheets. But on Saturday, if you looked at that team, you'd have thought, if we could have played that team all season, I think we'd have been higher up in the league because they seemed to gel and they played well. And it was no fluke. I mean, Taddy beforehand had gone 4 games undefeated. So all credit to the players. And it just gives us, I know we're a long way from safety still, but it just gives everybody a bit of a lift and hope going forward, you know.
Yeah, definitely. And you're playing us in next Friday, so so yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, nuts. So, but well done, girl, well done, Bob.
Yes,
so,
thank goodness.
So if we carry on, before you chastise me, Bob, there was a game on Friday night.
Yes,
and it
I
was.
was going to mention that.
Yeah, I know, but I wanted to get yours in first, Bob. So Albion cemented their playoff credentials, didn't they, with a 2-0 win over Frickley Athletic. Nathan Cartman on target again. However, Frickley did make a fight of it, didn't they, until the 81st minute, and then one from the locker from Aaron Bassey sealed it for the Lions. So well done, Albion. Beverly
Great free kick, that. I think it's on social media. I think it was a free kick, maybe. I've seen that into the top bins. So it's a nice finish.
Who was it? Was it Nathan?
No, Aaron Bassey's free kick.
Bassey.
Yeah, I think it was a free kick, if I'm not mistaken. I've seen it on the social media.
Because Aaron usually gets the headers, doesn't he? So, it'll be. I can't wait to chat to him about that one then. So well done, Aaron, for a good free kick. So Beverly and Silsden both in playoff positions. They played out a 1-1 draw, so good for each team. But a real big crowd at Golka, weren't there? 559. But they succumbed to what's turning out to be a super efficient Thackley side, isn't it?
That's a brilliant result there, to go to Thackley and win 4-0.
Yeah, I mean, the Denny boys scored 4, Finn Donovan hat-trick and Gretchen Bucksbank goal as well. So well done to Thackley. They're keeping up the pressure. Hallam beat Pickering Town 3-1. And on the other side of Sheffield, Handsworth beat Bottisford Town by the same score. So it was all cheering Sheffield, wasn't it? Knaresborough and Campion played out a 0-0 draw, along with another blank score sheet over at the Memorial Ground between Penistone Church and Parkgate 0-0. Winton Rangers, Bob, you're keeping an eye on them, aren't you?
We certainly are. Winton and Knaresborough, because you do. When we're bottom, you've got to see who's above us and what they're doing, you know.
Yeah, so Winton, they lost out to an early Rossington main goal, didn't they? Brad Grayson, after 6 minutes, decided the game. All 3 points going back to Rosso. So that was good. Yeah, Adam, you'll be cheering there.
Yeah, definitely. But like I say, I've got 3 wins in a row at the minute. But like I say, they've had the bottom 3 the last 3 games, and like I say, on paper it seems like they should be picking up 9 points, but you've still got to win them, and puts them into the top half now. So
yeah,
doing all right.
Before those 3 wins, they were looking a bit, not iffy, but so they've really turned that round. And like you say, even though the teams were below them, you've still got to turn up and beat them.
Definitely. So, I mean, there's been a lot of change at Rosso through middle of the season. So it's probably going to take a bit of time for it to gel. But like I say, I watched them against School, and I didn't think they played that well, but they got the job done. And looks like they've done the same in the other 2 games as well.
We were poor that game a day again.
Yeah.
Fortunately.
Well, it looks changing now. So right, so we're going to Division 1. So this is Jordan's territory. So we'll have a look at your Horbury then. We'll start with you, Jordan. Horbury, you beat Swallow Nest at the Swell 3-1. Was you there? You must have been.
Yes, of course. It's a good job. For obvious reasons, the past 2 weeks we've picked up 2 defeats, so this is a good time for me to come on the podcast to talk about a win. Which, as I say, the last 2 we lost, so there were 2 rare defeats. I think it's only 4 defeats for us now this season. Sitting comfortably at the moment at the top, but teams below us have got games in hand, and we've got 2 massive games coming up against Wakefield and Wunwell back to back. So that's our tough running. Going to the game, it wasn't the greatest of games, but I think it was important that we just got back to winning ways rather than putting a performance in there, which, don't get me wrong, the performance was there in periods. We opened the scoring from a corner, which we don't score enough of. We've got 4 or 5 big lads, but we never seemed to put the ball in the back of the net from a corner. So that was a refreshing change. We scored just before half time through a penalty, but then give away a silly mistake and allowed Swollenness back into the game. But we then hit them on the break in the last minute with all but the keeper stood in their half. He was on the halfway line. We broke from a cross and we tapped one in. So that was a delight. So we're back to winning ways.
Yeah, and you're sitting pretty at the top there, aren't you? 14 points. I think it's 14 points in front.
Yeah, 14 points. But I think if teams win the games in hand, albeit they won't play them for a couple of months or so,
Yeah.
I think the nearest person could be 4 points.
Yeah. Yeah, but as we've said before, even games in hand, you've got to win them. It's not always an advantage.
We always say in the dressing room beforehand, points on board is more important at this stage, because obviously when you play back to back, although a bit of a rarer thing for Parkgate to do it last year with all those games and continuously win, it's a bit of a rare thing to turn out Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday and keep picking up the points. So we're happy with where we are at the moment. We can't be any more pleased.
That's brilliant. And as I say, 62 points. We are wondering on the podcast, are you going to get 3 figures in points? Are you going to get to 100?
Well, if we replicate the first half of the season, then yes, I think we should be on 106. I think it was something like that.
Yeah.
So fingers crossed. We're hoping for that.
Yeah, it'd be good.
Last year, 106 points probably wouldn't even got you in the top 3. It was a very weird division last year.
It was, yeah.
But yeah, fingers crossed. 3 figures would be absolutely superb. But first and foremost, as long as we can keep that top spot, then come April, the middle of April, we'll be more than happy with that, no matter how many points we get.
Definitely. That's a good result. Good result for Horbury, back onto winning ways then. So if we have a look at the other games, now Brigg beat Athersley 1-0. And I mean, that was a very, very late goal, wasn't it? 89 minutes. Played a massive chunk of the game, though, didn't the Brigg, with 10 men after Prince Heywood got red carded. So I've been to Brigg a few times because, as I say, it's not too far from Barton, and they'll look at a tough team to beat. They've got plenty of experience there. They're putting it together. They've got a good manager in Brett Agnew. So I think Brigg are going to be there or thereabouts. I think they're third at the moment out there, so they're going to be there, and they've got that experience of playoffs. A couple of seasons ago, didn't they? Because they lost to Harrogate Railway Athletic, if memory serves me correctly. So they've got that experience there, as have Horbury, haven't they? So
yeah, our first year we got to play a final, which was a complete surprise to us.
Yeah,
but a bit of fisticuffs, should we say, ruined us chances in the second half. I'm sure many of you will have been there. The rash challenge then caused us to get 4 players sent off. So back to the wall from that point.
These things happen, don't they? Everybody's seen that. So it's always a good atmosphere at the Hawthorns, and as I say, Brett Agnew was assembling a really strong team at Brigg, so they'll be pushing forward. Club Thorn, Collier drew 0-0 with Armthorpe. So
can I just say on Club Thorn?
Yes,
that was their first home match in 2 months. Because remember, they had the arson attack on the dressing room.
Yeah.
They got some water cabins in, some units. And the volunteers have worked hard. They look at their socials, have worked hard. And they're back playing at home, which is all credit to them.
Very good, and well done to the volunteers. Selby lost out to Maltby Main 3-1. Ash Flynn doing what Ash Flynn does, score goals. How many goals? I mean, I can't remember, but how many goals has Ash Flynn scored in the NCEL? He must have scored, I don't know, must be over 100. Easy. Aren't he just, yeah. So I'm sure Ash will tell us next time we see him. So Shelley beat Louth Town 2-1. South Leeds topsy-turvy form continues, losing 4-2 at home to Ilkley, who were climbing up the table, Ilkley there. Wakefield and Harrogate Railway drew 0-0. No side today, so he can't tell us about the game. And what a game at Woolwell, losing out to Glasshoughton 5-4. And one of your favourite players, Liam Flanagan, hat-trick for Glasshoughton.
Yeah, he's doing well, isn't it? Yeah, all credit to him, Yeah.
Yeah. So you got your money's worth there, 9 goals, didn't you?
If you want to see some goals about, I went to the reverse game at Glasshoughton, and that were 5-3 as well. So
My
that's 17 goals in 2 games between the two.
wow, that's some going into it.
Got some entertainment. Go to that fixture.
Yeah, definitely. And then another high scoring game was Wasborough and Dronfield. Shared 6-3 each. Dronfield have finally stopped that awful form, haven't they? Because they were really had some a run of really poor results. So well done, Dronfield, for getting, because Wasborough are having a really good season, aren't they?
Oh yes, absolutely, yeah.
I
So
think 13 undefeated, I think.
yeah, it's
If I'm
a
not
lot.
mistaken, their last defeat was against us back in 28th of September, I think it was. And ever since then, they've chalked off the teams. They've even beat Golka in the cup, didn't they, before getting knocked out for an ineligible player.
Yeah, shame that, but I think as again, I think every club's been through that, haven't they? They've been thrown out of a cup for having somebody illegible playing for them. So we've all gone through that one, which isn't good. So and at the same, Yorkshire Amateurs drew 3-3 with Nostell Miners Welfare, didn't they? So Yorkshire Amateurs are starting to pick it up a bit, aren't they? Because I was just looking at their form recently. Yorkshire Amateurs last 6 games, won 3, drawn 2, lost 1, 11 points. And then the teams above them, Louth Town's form, played 6, won none, drawn 3, lost 3. And Dronfield played 6, won none, drawn 2, lost 4. So it's looking a bit rosier for Yorkshire Amateurs. They're giving themselves a chance.
It's going to be big if it comes to points per game as well, because, like I say, they look like we're doomed just a month ago or so. But like I say, we're starting to get them points, and if it does come to points per game, then they have a lot better chance.
Definitely. So I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll have a look at the tables then. So we'll look at we'll start. I'll tell you what. We'll start with Div 1. So Horbury sit pretty at the top. 26 games, 62 points. Wombwell, 23 games, so 3 games in hand, 48 points. Brigg, 24 games and 48 points. South Leeds, who again, even though they've had that topsy-turvy form, they're there. 26 games, 46 points. And Durnan District, 24 games, 45 points. With Ilkley, Wakefield and Wasborough on the heels. So they're doing well. Down at the bottom, you've got Appleby Frodingham now at the bottom, 23 games and 12 points. Yorkshire Amateurs, 24 games and 15 points. Louth, 24 games, 21 points. And Dronfield, 26 games and 22 points. So it's getting tight. It's getting tight down at the bottom as well, isn't it? So as you were intimating, Jordan, you've got 2 of probably your biggest games of the season coming up back to back, haven't you?
We have, yeah. We've got Wakefield Saturday, Wombwell the Friday after, and then we do actually have Worsborough the following game as well. So
wow. So
yeah, tough period for us, and we'll see where we're really at come 2.5 weeks' time.
Well, it'd be interesting chatting to you after those games.
It will.
So, but if we look at the Prem, we've got Golka at the top, 23 games, 50 points. Thackley, 25 games, 50 points. And Silsden, 22 games, 50 points. Have I got that right?
That's right. Yeah, you have. Yeah, you have, Owen. Yes, you have.
I don't trust myself sometimes. So we've got 3 teams at the top tying.
To be fair as well, it looked like we were going to be a 2-horse race at one point, but Thackley's pulled themselves right into it. I know they've played a few games more, but like you said, we've got the points, so
yeah,
it's a 3-horse race now.
And I don't think anybody would be shouting at me if I said traditionally, Thackley do tend to drop off after Christmas.
But they have just won 5. They have just won 5 in a row. That's what it shows they're in good form, you know.
Exactly, and this is my point. I don't think, and I hope I don't put the kiss of death on them. I don't think they're going to do that this season. I think they're going to be up there all the way.
I don't mind you putting the kiss of death on because we're playing on Saturday.
Stranger things have happened, Bob. Stranger things have happened. So we've got those 3 teams on 50 points. We've got New Boys Beverley, 10 points behind though. 24 games, 40 points. Hallam, 24 games and 39 points. And just below them, we've got Penistone, 25 games, 38 points, and Albion, who've only played 19 games and 37 points. If we look, unfortunately, we have to, Bob, but it's looking a little bit better than it was. We've got Goal at the bottom, 25 games, 12 points. Winton, 22 games, 16 points. Knaresborough, 23 games, 21 points. And Eccles Hill, 20 games, 22 points. So all you need is a couple of wins, Bob.
Yeah, well, it's what we do, not what everybody else does. At the end of the day, it's what your team does, isn't it, really?
It's got to be, hasn't it? It's got to be. So let's have a look. What we usually do, Jordan, is we pick our team of the week through. It doesn't necessarily need to be a win. It's just a performance or something such as that. So, Adam, I'm going to go to Adam first. Have you got a team of the week, Adam?
Yeah, so I've gone for Fackley. I think, like I say, it's been all the top four played each other this weekend in the Prem, and like I say, Gorka being top of the league, Fackley having a good chance to get up there with them and Silson, and they've got them thumped Gorka 4-0 at their own ground. So, yeah, to me, Fackley's got it this week.
Yeah, definitely. That's a good choice, Bob.
Well, I've got to go without prejudice for my team, Gould. Because when you had 7 games losing on the trot and you win 3-1 against a team that's gone 4 games unbeaten and played well, that's got to be my team of the week.
Well, as once said to Captain Mannering, you can't choose yourself. well done, no, Bob. I'll give you that. One.
I said the other week though, didn't I? I'm just wishing one of these weeks I could come onto this podcast and nominate Gould for team of the week. I've been waiting a long time.
Definitely. Jordan, your team of the week.
I'm gonna go Glasshoughton, I think. Although the scoreline does show 5-4 and it's a great win, they were 5-1 up with 7 minutes to go. So squeaky bum time in the last few minutes or so to hold on to that. But I think to go to Woodwell, which is a difficult place to go to, score 5 and pick up the win. And it could have been a convincing win had it not been for a bit of a meltdown in the last 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's done us a favour as well, been biased a little bit. So, yeah, Glasshoughton is my team of the week.
Well, I'm going to go. That's a good one. I'm going to go for a favourite team of mine, Albion Sports. They never seem to play on a Saturday, do they? Always seem to play on a Friday or midweek. But they put Frickley to the sword 2-0, and they keep going. And the Albion's the team I've seen. I thought they've played the best football I've seen all season, so they're keeping that going. So well done, Albion. So we've picked our teams of the week. If we can, what we're going to next, we'll have a look at the weekend games. Now, hopefully there won't be any bad weather or snow or anything like that. So let's hope we get all the games played. So, game of the day in the Prem, I would say, will be Golka versus Albion. I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah, that's a good one, that.
Be a real good one, that one. I've got Beverley Town versus Eccles Hill. We've got Frickley versus Barton Town. We've got Handsworth versus Penistone. Pickering and Parkgate. Rossington and Hallam. That'll be a good game. See how Rossington's form goes. Silsden play Bottisford. Tadcaster play Knaresborough. Thackley play Goal, of course, Bob. So you go trip to the Denny Field, one of my favourite grounds.
Yes. I'll be there.
Yeah. In that best stand, all being well, keeping nice and warm.
Well, yeah. I think we might need it on Saturday.
Yeah.
For the weather in Bradford.
And Winterton play Campion, so that's a tough one for Winterton. And then I think there's two games of the day in Div 1 for 2 totally different reasons. Obviously, we intimated Jordan, Horbury Town and Wakefield's got to be the game of the day there, hasn't it?
It has, yeah. Hopefully we'll get a decent attendance. We've made a bit of a friendly rivalry over the past 3 years or so. We both came into the NCEL at the same time.
Yeah.
The fixture hasn't been too kind for us. I think the first fixture we played in the first season we won, but we haven't won since. We did lose 3-1 back in September at Featherstone Rovers. So fingers crossed we can reverse that and pick up the win.
Right. Well, let's hope you can. So, Si's not here, so you can't say anything. And another game of the day for completely different reasons. Appleby Frodingham against Dronfield. So they both need the points, don't they? Appleby Frodingham stuck at the bottom with 12 points, but Dronfield could be pulled into it. They're on 22 points. So I don't think a draw is much good for either team, really. So that should be a game for a different reason. Armthorpe play Dernan District, Athersley and Clubthorne Colliery, Brigg Town versus Yorkshire Amateurs. That should be a decent game. Glasshoughton and Wasborough. That could be either a goal fest or 0-0. Harrogate Railway Athletic play Wombwell, Ilkley Town and Swallow Nest, Louth Town and South Leeds, Maltby Main versus Shelley, and Nostell versus Selby. So there's some good ties there. Hopefully they'll all go ahead. Looking slightly further afield, next Friday, Bob.
Yes.
It's Gull versus Barton Town.
Yes. We're looking forward to it.
And there's also another one on Friday, Wombwell versus Horbury.
Oh.
So so two good ties there. So there's three of us involved in that on the podcast.
Yeah. And what do we say about Friday night football?
I don't know. You tell me. I've forgotten.
You said for the good crowds on a Friday night.
Friday night is footy night. Always a good crowd. Do we think we'll get some good crowds there?
Well, I reckon Barton will bring a few, and after our win on last week, we might get a good crowd on a Friday night because people aren't going. Will go watch Leeds or Hull or Sheffield. They'll be there Friday night, So hopefully it'll be a good crowd.
And Wombwell and Horbury. Do you think there'll be a good crowd there, Jordan?
I should imagine so. Wombwell do get quite a good few fans, and our numbers have started to pick up recently for away games as well. We had a great turnout on Saturday against Swallow Nest, which we're very grateful for. We'll be travelling in those numbers, and hopefully we can pick up a victory.
So, what's your sort of average crowd at Horbury?
I think we're in the 160s at the moment.
Well, that's good to build on, isn't it? That, I mean,
yeah, it's up from last year, but down from the first year. But I think with the first year being a new club, you tend to get quite a few ground hoppers that haven't been. So tendencies come up a little bit and they just drop. But it's great to see more people come into Horbury for the home games. It's full of hats and scarves, and you see them in the town. And we've got a really good junior fan base behind us, so they come down and watch us, which is great.
Well, that's brilliant. That's really good. That's so onwards and upwards for our clubs. Now, if I've got time, I never know how much time I've got. I'll tell you what I want to do. Just focus on. I want to focus on a little one that makes our league tick. Not on the field we're talking about, because we talk about that all the time. Off the field. It's the volunteers, you guys, and the volunteers for every club we want to talk about. To me, and I think you guys will agree with me, they're worth the weight in gold. They're like a winning lottery ticket, aren't they? They're like a club's best signing, the lifeblood, heartbeat of a club. I mean,
it's funny. Sorry.
Yes, Bob.
It's funny you should say that, volunteers and lottery ticket, because our supporters club, we've just been doing a New Year prize draw, and we sold nearly 4,000 tickets, and it made time we played out the prizes. The top prize was £1,000, but we made nearly £940 for the club and for the supporters club.
Yeah.
And Lee Jameson, who run it, he put a lot of work into it. I helped him sell tickets as well, but Lee was the driving force behind it, and it was a great success. But you can't do it without people going out and selling you tickets for it to do that,
Unsung heroes, aren't they? Because, I mean, we all visit clubs, don't we? And we see how helpful and reliable and enthusiastic these individuals are. You've got adaptable, flexible, energetic, creative and positive volunteers, haven't you? Yet, I still get people coming through the turnstiles bemoaning the hard work and effort put in by volunteers. I know you're going to say, well, it's only just a few people, but it only takes one to upset somebody, and then you don't get your volunteers back.
Yeah, it only takes one person who upsets you because you've got a lot of effort. All volunteers put a lot of effort in. They're giving up the free time, and they do it for the love of their club, Exactly. So I think people should be careful what they say. If they just be patient, or if something's not right, just just be patient. We'll put it right, you know.
We're not going there. Volunteers are not going there to do a bad job. They're going there
No.
to do the best they can. I mean, it's all right. And I've seen, other people procrastinate about stuff. Who's going to step into the shoes? Because I bet the people complaining aren't, are they?
Without
Absolutely.
volunteers, the non-league clubs won't run at all.
They wouldn't.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Would not run at all.
They wouldn't, would they? And I mean, I've looked up the dictionary term for a volunteer. It's a person who freely offers to take part in an enterprise or undertake a task without being forced or paid to do it. So that, like you've just said, Adam, it's paramount for any local football club to keep running and exist, isn't it? To have volunteers. So, I mean, as we do on this podcast, we all do. We travel to grounds. Not many as you, Adam, because you're the king of the grounds. But we travel to clubs in and around the league, don't we? And see firsthand the hard work, I will say, club volunteers do. I mean, I know some clubs are blessed with a plethora, aren't they, of volunteers from a variety of backgrounds who bring the skills and knowledge to enhance the club. And as volunteers, we're not going to get things perfect. We're not professionals. Although we do professional jobs, sometimes we have to sort of fit in to do jobs that we don't really know. So, and I think most volunteers do a really good job. And I personally want to thank every volunteer and every club for doing a superb job. And I think that goes for everybody. So I think all the volunteers do a really good job. And I just felt like that needed to be said on the podcast, because I think sometimes we forget how hard volunteers work and how a lot of work they put in, not just on match days, because I know Bob is down there most days doing things and going round.
Today I've been as program editor. I've been trying to prepare a program for next week already. You know, I'm working ahead on what to put in it. You know, and so it's things like that.
Well, be kind to Barton, Bob. and I mean, Jordan, you've come on and you just virtually do every job at your club. I mean, are you blessed with a lot of volunteers at Horbury, or is it?
No, we're not actually. We've probably only got about 10 people, maybe, if that.
Yeah.
Ticket
Wow.
office lady, PA announcer, myself, one ball boy, my match secretary, someone does the cafe, and then someone who's just there every day ticking off the ground stuff that needs sorting out. So there's not many of us at all.
Yeah.
But as you've pointed out, sorry, go on, Bob.
So it's not same at Gould. I agree. One of the about 10 of us at Gould. You just not. We appeal for volunteers every beginning of every season, but nobody comes forward. You know, if we had more volunteers, we could run the club even better on match days. You know,
because I think on match days you're doing everything, aren't you? I mean, sometimes I've got about 3 or 4 things to do, but I enjoy it and it makes it go quicker. But like you say, guys, it would be better, wouldn't it, if we had more people, if more volunteers come along? I mean, it's so rewarding. It really is rewarding.
Yeah.
It's fantastic, really good.
I think
it is when you win.
Yeah, with volunteers as well, it's more than just a football, and it win, lose or draw. Your volunteers will keep turning up week after week, whereas sometimes your players won't. They'll go elsewhere for extra money or whatever. But your volunteers are there week in, week out, mucking in, making sure everything's at hand. And as you say, we'd be definitely lost without hard-working volunteers.
Oh, definitely. So I just thought that I needed putting across that, every club would love more volunteers, and the volunteers have got doing a fantastic job and incredibly busy on match days, especially when you've got crowds like we're getting at the moment. I know they might drop off a little bit, but I mean, it was phenomenal over the weekend, wasn't it? With all the. What do you think? Why do you think we got so many people at the games?
Personally, I think it's because, like I say, a lot of your EFL clubs played on Boxing Day, so there weren't many games in the at the weekend. So I think that helped massively.
It did.
And with people off work, between the Christmas and New Year, we've got more time to come to these matches, haven't they? You know. Which is good.
Definitely. Definitely. And I mean, that was our biggest crowd for a long while at Barton, 530. I know we didn't charge on the gate, but people, they give brilliantly to the charity. I think it was nearly £4,000 we raised. So that was superb for a charity through the gate, because we didn't have a raffle or anything like that. It was just pay what you want, but it was to a donation to the charity, so that was fantastic. So
Brilliant.
I'd like to thank everybody who came to Barton and dug deep and put the money in the buckets. And I know a lot of other clubs are doing that as well. I know Bottisford did it a couple of weeks ago. Ferriby were going to do it yesterday, but their game got called off. And Ferriby aren't even in our league.
That's it for this edition. If you've got any news for the podcast or you'd like to appear on the podcast, please email ncelpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.